Hello there. I wanted to check in on my ingrate YouTube fan base and see how things are going. They don't talk back. That's all right. I was gonna revisit a topic that I brought up years ago. At least on social media, I made a video about it too. About how the lottery is rigged, and I gave reasoning as to why I believe that. I mean, the obvious thing is that the numbers that are drawn are, done behind closed doors, and even if they weren't, it doesn't make any difference because it can be faked very, very easily. I covered the points that the reason they would do this is because they want to control who can and cannot win the lottery. There is somewhat sound reasoning for that, I would suppose, except there are a lot of corrupt reasons that do not outweigh the benefits for everyday Canadians, and it's probably more or less the same deal in the States. Um, because the reality is, even though BC Lottery in particular is ran by the government, it's still essentially mob money, and they'll come around looking for you if you win it. That's just the bottom line. They'll come in the form of lawyers or fucking people saying this and that, and BC Lotto commissioners and all that kind of shit. But the reality is, it's money that was conned out of naive people. A lot of people are stuck with a certain particular set of numbers. They played with them for years. The absolute thought of them ever coming up and then not having bought the ticket is a mortifying one for them. I do not have a set of numbers. I don't have it. I don't want that curse on me. I haven't even played the lottery in a long time, because I honestly believe that it is rigged. Uh, there's no shadow of a doubt that the BC lottery is ran by bureaucrats. And if you begin to understand how a bureaucrat thinks, you'll know how much of a pack of cunts they really are. For one thing, they have a tendency to judge people on the slightest digression. Di Digression. Yeah, that's the word I meant. Give me some credit here. I've been drinking some beers here. Uh, there's another thing. Fuck you. I'm drinking some beers. Um, yeah. So anyone who does not meet their exact criteria isn't gonna win. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be someone prominent who wins any significant amount of money. In most cases, a bureaucrat. And people go, well, I know people, or one person or whatever who's won a significant amount of money. Maybe they won I don't know, a house or something in a lottery commission. Yeah, commission. Yes, yes. Perhaps they did, but they don't have to know that they were picked out to win. I mean, a lot of people they go, "Oh, well, I have anonymity. No one knows who I am. I don't make a splash. I don't talk very loud. I'm as quiet as a librarian. And I don't have social media. I don't do online banking. Who knows who I am?" Bullshit. They know who everybody is. You go through a database. Everybody does. You can't live off the grid. That's some sort of myth that people seem to believe that you could live off the grid. No, you can't. Um, all your documentation is put on the internet. Doesn't matter if you agree to it or not. I've made a video covering that part as well. They put it on anyway. You can't have a job without a bank account. Can't have a job without a social insurance number. Can't rent an apartment. Can't buy a house. Can't buy a car. Can't do fuck all without having a name to your number. And that's really what it is. You don't have a name. You have a fucking number. And And, you know, sure, go live out in the forest. Pretend you're off the grid. You're not really off the grid. Some ranger knows you're out there and is probably calling you Bigfoot because you don't shave. He's probably making a joke out of you, before he comes and drops off a whole bunch of fines and things like that and figures out whatever you're doing up there, as a hypothetical. But the thing is, it is very true that the wrong type of person winning the lottery can do too much damage. And they, don't even have to be bad people to be doing damage. As I said, the Lottery Commission may be, sanctioned by the BC government, but people have a great difficulty distinguishing the difference between them and the mob. There are differences, but there are not a lot of them. Basically, it's a money scheme. You put your money in, and there are people who've been playing for 30, 40, 50, 60 years and have never won a fucking thing. I know the odds are astronomical, but wrap your head around this. Suppose they're not astronomical. Suppose they're impossible. Try that for size. It's impossible to win. If certain individuals in the Lottery Commission have taken a peek at your file, and remember, you don't have to be a fucking bad guy to have a file. Everyone's got one. You got a name to your fucking number. You go to fucking high school. You get your driver's license. Hell, you even buy a fucking compass card at a fucking vendor, and your face is there. And, this didn't used to be a problem 20, 30, 40 years ago when there weren't so many cameras readily available, but they're installing them everywhere. And you can't go around unseen. Nobody can. You can't do it anymore. And it's going to become even less and less. It's not like the United Kingdom where they got cameras in your face, but essentially they are in your face. You just simply can't see them. That doesn't mean they're not there. And it's the wrong sort of people that are behind them, too. I know the irony of me being behind a camera, but I'm actually talking to people here, so, shut up. Whereas these people, fuck, they'll do anything, man. The most despicable people. And they're supposed to be in charge. This is supposed to be civilized society? What the fuck, yo? Just fucking crazy talk is all it is. And, yeah, anyway. So, a point I wanted to establish is there are people who are oblivious to this who do win the lottery. They win $1 million, maybe even 5 or 10, probably not 50. I highly doubt it. And, they were regular citizens who didn't do anything exceptional, don't really know any bureaucrats or anything like that, especially anyone tied in with the Lottery Commission, and they just happen to win it. Great PR, great propaganda. It works like marvels. It dismisses anyone coming along and saying this is rigged and this is why I think it's rigged. Because all of a sudden you got Joe Sixpack, who's won the lottery, and nobody can think of a reason why, and that's done specifically because they've selected Joe Sixpack, for example, to win the lottery. For whatever reasons, and more often it'll be people who do have social media, a really active lifestyle, who are out in the community, who are well known. So if you're some recluse who lives in an apartment, doesn't want to socialize, doesn't want to get to know anyone, doesn't want anyone knowing about them, and all that kind of stuff, you're less likely to win because the powers that be, who are stealing people's money and redistributing a small fraction of it to the lucky individual, do not know enough about you and have already decided that you're rubbish, you're out of the race. And they do this because there's a finite amount of winners. If the Canadian public were content with one $1 million winner per year and still be putting in the kind of money that they are into the lottery system, the lottery commission, especially in British Columbia, because they're ran by a bunch of greedy cocksuckers. I'm sure they are everywhere, but they definitely are here. Um, they would do it. $1 million winner per year. If they could get away with it, they would do it. But then their sales would plummet, and it's the yin and yang. Can't let the customers dictate the price, all that kind of shit. And I mean, it didn't used to be exactly like that. I mean, I admit there are people who randomly won a lot of money, and then the law moved in, and they became too popular, and just shit hit the fan. And where are they now? Is the question. Lives ruined, destroyed, and all that kind of shit. That doesn't happen so much anymore because is it really your money once you want it? Is it really your money? Is there somebody, putting the lien on you, saying you're not allowed to do specific things with it? And I don't even mean like, corrupt, illegal things. I mean anything. You're not allowed to do it. You can't invest in a certain company. It's a company right there on the stock market. Why wouldn't you be able to? Because somebody in that fucking stock market share does not want you investing the money into that, and will know the law and ways of getting around it, and voila, seemingly harmless thing, you can't do it. And you'll always run into cunts who tell you what you can and can't do. They do that anyway, but they'll especially do that if you're worth any kind of money. And more, the government is gearing towards. They've always been secretive, but they want to be openly secretive, and people accept it, and not only accept it, but feel like they're a part of it. Like it's something that's benefiting them that you don't know who the hell's who's fucking you. And no offense, that doesn't make me feel better. The anonymous character, fuck off. He's a cunt cobbled together up for a fucking propaganda, fucking telling people, oh, don't you worry. Your private information's safe. You can put up on Facebook. You can do this and that, and it's all, it's all good. You're a fucking liar. Who the fuck knows what you do with our information once you get it? Oh, and people who go, well, I don't have a social media account. I have a cellular phone, but I don't pay for internet. I don't use the internet. Guess what? Those smartphones can take a picture of you anyway. And when they do, they can make a Facebook account of you and put it in another country and give it a different name. And this is all part of Confucian civilization, so that nobody knows what the fuck's going on. Nobody knows nothing. But your Fizzog is still up there on the fucking internet somewhere anyway, and you may have no actual internet connection of any sort. They may have grabbed an old picture of you from high school or something. Yeah, very, very possible. And this is, all to enhance certain government programs and things like that. There are reasons for it, but I didn't say there were good reasons. There's a reason for fucking everything, and very rarely is it a fucking good reason. It's usually some cunt who wants to fuck you over and wants to get away with it. And, you've got to be cognizant of these facts, even if people will go, well, go get your tinfoil hat. Blah, 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 blah. I've been told my rhetoric my whole life. I want to believe my version. You go ahead. I'll believe, what sounds plausible to me. And you go ahead and believe what you want to believe. I know the difference. And a lot of people don't. And that is a mental disorder. When you believe the lies, you know they're lies, but you believe them anyway. And you don't really have a reason. It's like you believe that they're the truth. And, some people come to that realization and some people don't. And that's when it's like the lines get blurred, and it really is a. Do, do you not understand that there's some sort of impediment that you have? Some sort of issue that's going on that you don't understand? It all boggles the mind. But yeah, winning that old lottery, it could be a curse, a real bad one. Because those slinky, disgusting fuckers who used to come around like the thugs of old back in the dirty 30s to push people around when they want any kind of money, they didn't go away. They refined themselves. So they're in high offices, um, in tall buildings and things like that, and they make decisions, and you ain't know what the fuck they're thinking. You never hear their name, never see their face, and it affects you all the same. So you're putting big money into the lottery. You may never win because they don't want you to. And it's, like I said, it's a finite amount of winners because the lottery has to make a profit. And because they're a bunch of greedy cocksuckers who want too much money, there aren't enough winners. And that also brings up another point. Why in the fucking hell aren't there more $100,000 winners, $500,000 winners? Why do we need one asshole winning $50 million? How does that benefit society? I'll tell you why. One person winning $50 million is a lot easier to watch than, say 50 people who won $100,000. A lot fucking easier. And these people, they're fucking trash. They will fucking do anything. If you think fucking Canada is a civilized society and all that, I hate to say the term, but some people do for whatever reason, so it's the easiest way to get through to people, sheeple. I hate using that word. I'm sure as hell not one. But there are a lot of people that do understand what that means. Basically, you live in mainstream society, you hear the garbage propaganda that we have to listen to all the time. You work your job, don't realize you're a slave, all that kind of shit. And we also live in a society where people are conditioned to discriminate. So, we're supposed to live in a society where discrimination is supposed to be on its way out the door, but it's quite the opposite. The propaganda is doing the exact opposite of what it's supposed to do. It's just changing the definition of what discrimination is. You're a racist now, all of a sudden you become an involuntary celibate. However, you're some cocksucker in a fucking bureaucratic position who'll shit on anyone and is typically an asshole, and somehow that's not as bad? What the fuck? You gotta have respect for your fellow man, but you also gotta understand that your fellow man is sometimes an asshole. And it doesn't matter what fucking color they are. Although I must admit, it doesn't help if they're a filthy Asian, but, and I can say that with all fairness in my position. If you understood it, you'd know. Um, yeah. And more, they're going to start winning the lottery. They win it not that much proportionally right now, but this is the big push. This is another intricate facet of the Lottery Commission, is that people from other countries immigrate to Canada, and in British Columbia, it's primarily from Hong Kong, and they want their citizens to be winning the lottery. And they'll push for that behind closed doors in secret discussion. And eventually, more and more people of Asian descent are going to win the lottery in proportion because the system is rigged. I said that before, and I meant it then, and I mean it now. And that's one of the reasons I stopped playing. But the other reason is go out and fucking earn some money. Why don't you try that for a change? A lot of people don't do that. Or if they do it wrong. I ain't no slave, so, I'm not going to do it wrong. Yeah, something about Canada and Justin Trudeau being prime minister. It's vomit inducing. Canada has become a puke making factory. I'm not sure it was any better ever before, but I know it's shitty now. Um, yeah, and it's like the most retarded fucking thing in the world, and all it is them exercising their authority. That's all it is. Doesn't matter because they don't care what you think. They don't care about you at all. Uh, you can say something, and it could be the rock bottom truth, and they will still decide not to believe you, and they will call you a generic name, and it'll offend people if they hear it, and it doesn't matter if the person who called you that name has any proof at all or anything, you become labeled as that thing. And that's how they exercise their control. Not really supposed to say that, but in my situation, fuck off. Um, I mean, they did try to barbecue me alive with psychiatric medication that caused extreme pain and then deny the whole thing. And then, a bunch of other things they tried to do to me, but it didn't work. So fuck you. Um, and it's like, this whole lottery business. I got to thinking of it again because somebody commented it on a few weeks. I try to get back to the comments, eventually, even if it is by a asshole. And it's funny because, actually, some people who say nice things or anything at all, actually, at this point, because so few people talk to me on kind of just a normal basis, I do have to wonder, is it them, being nice for the time being or acknowledging my presence? Ooh, you got any more of that recognition kind of bullshit? And are they really just a nasty bastard, or are they the nice people who are nice, but they say nasty things to me because, as you know, the mob apparatus works, they want the individual to not know anything. And that is a big part of the lottery, is that nobody knows fuck all about it. They don't want anyone knowing about it. They disrupt communication, and this is very easy to do because they know our mannerisms, how we behave, what age we were born in, what media we were exposed to, what was going on in the world, what education we have, where we worked, all this shit they know, so they got a pretty good fucking idea how we think. And you know um there are things that are, they're not phony. You won't find a Wikipedia page explaining any of this shit to you. You got to figure out yourself, or else you'd be left behind in the dust. I ain't getting left behind in the dust. So I mean, if you want to get left in behind the dust, don't listen to me. That's your choice. But I'm not doing that. Yeah. So the lottery, sure, go ahead, buy a ticket per week. But don't be giving them big time money because that's not a guarantee of anything. You give them big time money, they just think you're a sucker. You're a sap. Um, and, it's all money in their pockets. And, I've attacked, the legitimacy of other organizations such as GoFundMe. Money corrupts, and that is what they're there to do. And I don't like people who disguise that fact that they're there to make money by doing something good. No, 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 no. You were there to make money, first of all. So fuck you. You doing the good thing was the side part. So you get the feel good moment, you get the propaganda, you get the PR team on your side, but in reality, you're a fucking asshole. A fucking asshole. A misery vampire. And, probably shouldn't use the insult of vampire too often. I've got pale skin. I don't get out in the sun too often. I got sharp teeth and that kind of stuff, but it's not the same fucking thing. You can't just judge me by how I look. That totally goes against your rhetoric. But they'll do it anyway because they're assholes and they're hypocrites and they don't care what you think. Yeah, these are some ideas and things to consider. It's all kind of funny how the fundamental building blocks of society can be dismantled through pathology and by reasoning, deductive reasoning. They're not complicated secrets. The fact that somebody won't ever admit that there's a possibility even that they could be true, let alone admit that that is what it is not absence of evidence existence. It is absence of evidence being where you can access it. And people who know that kind of shit know to fucking, hide in the cracks in the walls and all that kinds of stuff, like the cockroaches they are, and you won't fucking, you can't touch them. And they're the people who, they're the ones with their hands in your pocket, taking your $10 out of your wallet every now and then for taxes, this, that, and the other, and they don't give you an explanation, don't want to explain anything. They're just a big stupid asshole, and it's all multi-layered. The first asshole you deal with doesn't know much. Knows he's an asshole, but doesn't care because that comes with the job description. There's someone above him who's gonna give him shit if they don't fucking do their job, which is fucking you over, and so on and so forth. As you climb up the food chain, and you must understand that shooting the messenger in medieval times made perfect sense. Fuck them. If you don't like the fucking organization that's trying to fuck you over, fuck them. And, it's something you got to consider. And you know what? I don't like the Lottery Commission. Why should I like them? What have they done for me? What the fuck have you done for me? And, I don't need a few trinkets here and there, fucking, a grand here or 2 or 3 grand there. I want real fucking money. I want 100 fucking G's. $1 million. Maybe 50 in, the right circumstances. I certainly don't want someone breathing down my neck telling me what the fuck to do with my money. That's not what's happening. But, weigh out your options and, formulate a constructive opinion that actually makes sense. And you will understand that in doing so and being successful in this world means that you will have people that strongly dislike you. Mostly because it's slithery, slimy jealousy. It's because slimmery, slimery jealousy has a tendency to congregate. There's a lot of slippery, slimy, disgusting, disreputable people out there, and they congregate when they see something worthwhile for them and make problems of their own. And when they do this, if it's centered around an individual, such as someone who won the lottery and has a bit of money to their name now, and they're using that person as a reason, as a proxy for their own infighting, bitterness, bickering, arguing, and everything else that's bad that goes with it, and they associate it with the individual who happened to, luck in. It's a bunch of bullshit. Bunch of bullshit. All of it. And it's like, it doesn't matter if the chump that comes up to you doesn't know fuck all. He's there, or they're there to do their job, and that's to tell you how to think, what to do, and they're not going to, they're not going to budge because it'll inconvenience them. Excuse me, you're in my fucking way. That's the mentality you gotta have. You don't have that mentality, you're gonna be told what to do all the fucking time, and you're gonna be told in the dumbest possible way. And the reason you're gonna get told in the dumbest possible way is so that they could give you the least amount as possible. And if not only do they not give you anything, but you actually pay them not to give you anything, and you pay them not to give you anything while they're giving you attitude, which is essentially what it is. You tell a bureaucrat, look, man, you're who works for the lottery commission, look, you're a cocksucker, you're an asshole, and these are all the reasons why you are one. Um, they usually don't take kindly to people saying things like that. And you may go, well, who would? Believe me, they're bureaucrats. They say nastier things to each other than any of us could ever imagine. And nobody would want to talk like them. Like, who the fuck would want to talk like one of them fuckers? I have no fucking clue, man. Or think like them. Fuck. I mean, I knew there were a lot of crazy people in the world. I just didn't think so many of the crazy people were getting away with being crazy. That's all. But if you got the money, then you got the power, and then you get the women, and all that sort of stuff. And I ain't no greedy kind of person because there's it just comes with bad baggage. But I don't know. I'm gonna say that things aren't quite what they seem, and you gotta have an open mind on these sort of things. And you know what? You're not always gonna hear what you want to hear, but you have to understand that you gotta have some push. You gotta push, and you gotta not put up with bullshit. Because if you do not resist, and I don't even like using the word resist because it's been turned into such a stupid thing. It's almost like communist Russia and revolution and all that kind of shit. And it's like, no, I don't talk like that because that sounds like what a fucking idiot would say. Um, but if you don't, you're going to wind up with nothing and you're going to be paying for it and you're going to be given attitude. So you don't want any of that shit. And there are ways to, kind of walk around those problems. Anyways, I guess that wraps up this particular segment. The lottery is still rigged, and you may know somebody who won some significant amount of money, and they may have no connections at all. But guess what? They were selected, and they were selected for the propaganda purposes of the lottery, saying that any Joe Sixpack could win it. You never know who the next Lottery 649 winner is gonna be. Lies! They always know who's gonna be the next one. Anyway, talk to you later. Or if you're an asshole, I'll try to avoid you. Anyway, fuck off.